Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The dispute between Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors is finally approaching. The player will be re-signed, and the parties are finalizing the contract. Kuminga has great potential to grow with the Warriors. The Warriors front office has been in extensive discussions with Kuminga's representatives. The stakes are high, as both parties recognize the importance of this contract for Kuminga's future and the team's overall trajectory. Coming off a season that showed glimpses of his star potential, the 21-year-old is eager to cement his place in the Warriors' plans. Kuminga's performance last season proved he has the tools to make a difference. His explosive athleticism and ability to score from both inside and outside make him a valuable asset. However, negotiations have been anything but straightforward. As the team navigates the complexities of the salary cap and roster dynamics, finding common ground has been a challenge. As the Golden State Warriors' impasse with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga has stretched through this offseason, it is likely that both parties, along with the fans, have become increasingly frustrated at the lack of progress being made towards a deal. Especially given the Warriors' inability to sign any free agents as a result of the uncertainty surrounding Kuminga's contract, fans certainly have the right to feel exasperated, but, now, the two parties may begin approaching an agreement in the near future according to NBA insider Jake Fisher. With the recent resolutions surrounding Cam Thomas's and Josh Giddey's restricted free agencies and training camp rapidly approaching, such a resolution would certainly be welcomed sooner rather than later. Jonathan Kuminga's contract could be coming as soon as next week. Kuminga, 22, has admittedly had some of his deep-seated contention with his coaching staff and front office on full display this offseason, but, for now, it seems as though the best resolution is for him to return to Golden State on a short-term, tradable deal. However, the two sides have come to an impasse over the Warriors' insistence on including a team option in the 2-year deal they have offered, with Kuminga's side proving hesitant to be brought back exclusively as a trade piece. While the two parties have been far apart on this issue for over a month now, Fisher reported today that the two sides could be nearing an agreement, writing in the most recent edition of the Steinline newsletter that, given Giddey's new deal in the Windy City, it's not difficult to understand why Kuminga's camp doesn't regard Golden State's proposal as appetizing. Yet there is a sense, coming from those connected to both sides of these negotiations, that we could finally see some movement on the Kuminga front next week. As the offseason has worn on, Kuminga's refusal to sign a deal quickly has proven to be understandable. Given his frustrations with the front office throughout this process, he has had almost no incentive to sign anything before the October 1st deadline for accepting his qualifying offer. At the same time, his qualifying offer represents the lone leverage he maintains in these negotiations, and, as two of the league's 4 restricted free agents this offseason have now signed, it may be time to accept that the QO is not a viable option after all. Moreover, the Warriors might be incentivized to add an extra $1 to $2 million annually onto Kuminga's deal in order to get him to sign a bit earlier, allowing them to fill out their 6 open roster spots before the start of training camp. Therefore, while it remains to be seen what the final terms of the contract will be, it appears as though we will see Kuminga, and a number of other players, joining or rejoining Golden State in the very near future. Renewed efforts to get Jonathan Kuminga deal done. The Golden State Warriors' entire offseason has unfortunately been solely focused on one player. Restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga has not put pen to paper on the 2 offers that the Warriors have put forward. That, considering the Warriors are a luxury tax team, have meant that no signings have been made during free agency despite firm interest in veterans such as Al Horford and Anthony Melton. Now, insider Anthony Slater has shed light on the renewed efforts Golden State has put in. There's been renewed efforts, genuine efforts this week to try to get it over the finish line. I think the Josh Giddey contract, for years, a $100 million, provided a little bit of extra motivation for the talks, he explained during his appearance on NBA Today. Slater explained that a singular difference between the Chicago Bulls' Josh Giddey situation and the Warriors' Kuminga situation has led to the holdup. While the Bulls see Giddey as their starting point guard for the future, Kuminga is well aware that the Warriors are likely to move him in the coming time. The Warriors are trying to get him on this very team-friendly deal, and Kuminga clearly knows he is not like Josh Giddey walking into a guaranteed starting job. So, that is what continues, month after month, to halt this thing up, Slater explained. Kuminga has a one-year $7.9 million qualifying offer, as well as a two-year $45 million deal on the table. While signing the qualifying offer makes sense as it gives him the most control over his future in the form of unrestricted free agency next year, the direction in which the player is leaning remains unclear. The Warriors know they need to find a solution quickly in order to actually make the improvements they want to their roster. However, despite the renewed efforts, it seems as if the situation is still the same. Warriors named top landing spot for $16.4 million forward in major trade. Article: The Golden State Warriors have been the least active team this summer. More news: 76ers trying to trade two veterans ahead of season. Report: the Warriors are still in the midst of the Jonathan Kuminga contract situation that has yet to be resolved. That should come to an end soon, and once it does, the Warriors will make a flurry of moves. As things stand, they have a total of 9 players on the roster. With the season a little over a month away, it is crucial that the Warriors make moves if they want to establish themselves as an upper echelon team in the Western Conference. The Warriors could go a multitude of ways to do just that, but according to Andy Bailey of Bleacher Report, Golden State is among the favorites to land veteran forward Kelly Oubre Jr. More news: former Lakers, Knicks flameout leaving NBA at 26 years old. Report: familiarity is at least a part of why the Golden State Warriors are here. Oubre played for them during the 2020-21 campaign, when he averaged 15.4 points and 1.6 threes. While the impact metrics from his season in the Bay Area aren't good, the Warriors need more punch off the bench and currently only have 9 players under contract. Fans would likely hope for a little more efficient use of the team's trade exception, but that could make acquiring Oubre relatively easy. At least in theory, a downhill scoring threat like Oubre should be able to pull some defenses inward and away from shooters like Stephen Curry, Buddy Hield, and Brandon Podziemski. The 76ers are reportedly trying to do all they can to move Oubre prior to the start of the season. Philadelphia would love to make room for restricted free agent Quentin Grimes, and moving off Oubre would help them do just that. Nonetheless, Oubre is set to enter his 3rd season with the 76ers after he initially signed a one-year deal prior to the start of the 2023-24 season. In 2 seasons in Philadelphia, Oubre has averaged 15.3 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 1.6 assists and 1.3 steals in 128 games with 109 starts. Kelly Oubre's fit with Warriors: if the Warriors were to make a move for Oubre, he would be stellar alongside Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. Oubre would likely come off the bench and provide a spark on both sides of the floor. He is a more than capable defender who can guard some of the top scorers in the league and score when called upon, averaging 13.3 points per game throughout his 10-year career. Warriors show free agency interest in supersized former Celtics guard. Worth a training camp invite? The Golden State Warriors may remain with up to 6 roster spots to fill as Jonathan Kuminga's restricted free agency continues, but it's become clear that the front office wants to use at least half of those on backcourt reinforcements. Along with the links to DeAnthony Melton, Gary Payton II, Seth Curry and Malcolm Brogdon, we can now add another player to the list of guards the Warriors are showing interest in just weeks out from training camp. Warriors are showing interest in free agent guard Delano Banton. After appearing in 67 games for the Portland Trail Blazers last season, Delano Banton remains an unrestricted free agent this offseason as he searches for another NBA opportunity 4 years into his career. That opportunity could still arise at the Warriors after Danny Immerman of the San Francisco Standard reported on Thursday that Banton recently worked out at Chase Center with the potential of vying for a training camp invite. Standing at 6 feet 9 inches, Banton is supersized for the point guard position, which has made him an intriguing prospect across his career to date. That was particularly the case at the end of the 2023-24 season, where he played 30 games for the Trail Blazers after being traded by the Boston Celtics. During that span, Banton saw significant playing time and opportunity, averaging nearly 30 minutes per game where he posted 16.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 3.6 assists and nearly a steal per game. He scored 25-plus points in 8 of his last 21 games in that season, including a career-high 31 points to go with 5 rebounds and 9 assists against the Atlanta Hawks on March 27. While he did play in 67 games last season, Banton's playing time fell to 16.7 minutes where he averaged 8.3 points, 2.0 rebounds, and 2.4 assists. The Canadian may have showed stretches of being an incredibly productive NBA player across different points over the past couple of years, but it's his efficiency which has been an issue and might be the primary reason he remains without a team this offseason. Banton has shot just 40.2% from the floor and 30.4% from three-point range for his career, while his less than 2-to-1 career assist-to-turnover ratio isn't ideal. For a team like the Warriors who need more three-point shooting threats, this could prove a real hindrance to Banton's hopes of landing in the Bay Area. Given he's no longer eligible for a two-way contract, the chances of Banton working his way onto the Golden State roster for opening night should still be considered slim despite this recent development. Warriors have new shuddering reason to resolve their Jonathan Kuminga mess. They have to avoid this calamity. Eagles beat Chiefs, Titans cover versus Rams in Collins' Week 2 picks, the herd. The Golden State Warriors continue to walk a fine line in their free agency negotiations with Jonathan Kuminga, having now gone well over 2 months into free agency without a single signing. The Warriors clearly have a plan in place that they're patiently abiding to, but that could all come tumbling down in disastrous fashion if the stalemate continues to draw closer and closer towards training camp. Warriors must avoid losing their free agency targets. Clearly settling the Kuminga situation is important in itself given the talent of the young forward and how he could still be flipped into something of value further down the line. However, obtaining an imminent resolution on the 22-year-old is all the more important when you consider the remaining moves that Golden State have planned. The Warriors are expected to sign Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, and Gary Payton too, while the likes of Seth Curry and Malcolm Brogdon are also patiently waiting as free agents to see if an opportunity arises. For weeks there's been comfort among fans in the knowledge that Golden State will sign these players, but on Wednesday came a slight reason to shudder with the thought that the veterans could be losing patience. According to Warriors insider Monty Poole of NBC Sports Bay Area, Horford and the rest of the veterans in Golden State's waiting room are quietly pleading for clarity. The word pleading does arise some concern and suggests that the Warriors might want to act with a little more urgency in getting something done over the next week, rather than continuing to call Kuminga's bluff right up until the October 1st deadline on his $7.9 million qualifying offer. Losing Horford, in particular, to retirement or a rival team at this stage would be nothing short of an unmitigated disaster. It would leave Golden State with youngsters Quinton Post and Tracy Jackson-Davis as the sole centers on the roster, while the free agency market for big men beyond Horford is far from appealing. Melton is projected to be a 20 to 25 minute per game player and potential starter for the Warriors if he can return successfully from his ACL injury, while Brogdon too could be incredibly valuable as a backup to Stephen Curry should the franchise choose to go down that path. Having the Kuminga stalemate blow up in Golden State's face by losing their veteran signings still seems extremely unlikely, but Poole's report is nonetheless a worry and presents some anxiety until the roster is actually finalized. Jonathan Kuminga's pending decision causing doubt with Warriors stars. NBA training camp is right around the corner, with European stars in the league finishing up Eurobasket 2025 before they shift their focus to the 2025-26 season. Players around the league have used their time this offseason for various events and travel, while some players find themselves in headlines, like Kawhi Leonard, during his ongoing investigation. For the Golden State Warriors, 22-year-old forward Jonathan Kuminga has remained in the headlines ever since his controversial benching toward the end of last season. Now, his contract negotiations with the Warriors have dragged on despite other restricted free agents having already inked a deal. Appearing on ESPN's NBA Today, Warriors reporter Anthony Slater provided some insight into the negotiations, while noting that there's been renewed efforts since Josh Giddey agreed to a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Chicago Bulls. The veterans have had communication with Mike Dunleavy. They know what the roster's going to look like. They know the dominoes that are going to fall. They aren't in the dark about that. I think they're wondering about Jonathan Kuminga's buy-in if he comes back on the qualifying offer, Slater said. He went on to add that the main question revolves around whether Kuminga can come back and be a part of this team without an agenda to push. Jonathan Kuminga's offseason summary. It seemed as though Kuminga was long gone heading into the 2025 playoffs, especially after being benched in the season finale against the Los Angeles Clippers. However, unfortunate injuries to both Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry led Kuminga to getting on the floor in the postseason, making a strong impression during the Minnesota Timberwolves series specifically. Therefore, that performance in the Timberwolves series made a return to Golden State seem viable for Kuminga, despite the countless sign-and-trade rumors to teams like the Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings. While those have since simmered down, the real question appears to be whether Kuminga signs the qualifying offer or a contract offer from the Warriors. If Giddey's extension really does ramp up the negotiations, perhaps the Warriors and Kuminga could strike a deal as early as next week. If so, it would allow Golden State to bring in other free agents promptly and have the roster prepared ahead of training camp. However, it seems as though the 2-year, $45 million offer won't be the one to get it done if that's the route Kuminga goes.